My wealth over my family. Part 3. Ada was led into the inner sanctum of the court, her heart pounding as the ritual began. The room was dark, lit only by the flickering candles arranged in a circle around her. The air was thick with the smell of burning herbs, and eerie chants filled the room. Madame Q, the court leader, stood in the center, her cold eyes fixed on Ada as she recites incantation in a language Ada couldn't understand. The initiation was gruesome, and Ada felt as though her soul was being ripped apart. When it was over, she collapsed to the floor, trembling and drenched in sweat. After the ritual, Madame Q delivered the news that shattered Ada's heart. "Your sacrifice has been made," she said coldly. "You are now bound to the court. From this moment, you can use your wealth to help everyone and anyone you choose, except your family." Ada stared at her, unable to understand what she had just heard. Madame Q's word echoed in her ears. The more her family suffers, the more wealth she will have. Ada shook her head in disbelief. "No, no, 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 no," she muttered, tears streaming down her face. "I joined this court to help my family. What is the point of all this money if I can't help them? Queen Mother, please, this can't be true." Madame Q remained silent, her expression cold and unyielding. Finally, she spoke. "If you break the rules and try to help your family, both you and your family will die. And if someone else dares to help them, you will run mad. The consequences are severe. Royalty is demanded, and disobedience will bring unimaginable suffering, not just for you, but for your entire family." Ada fell to her knees, crying uncontrollably. "Please, Queen Mother," she begged, "change the sacrifice. I don't want the money if it means my family has to suffer. Please." Queen Mother's gaze hardened. "The ritual is complete. There is no going back. If you attempt to undo it, your mother will die instantly. The choice is yours." Ada turned to Chinonso, her face twisted in anger and despair. "Why did you bring me here?" she shouted. "You knew how much I love my family. Why didn't you warn me about this?" Chinonso looked just as shocked as Ada. She stammered, I didn't know, Ada. Please believe me. My sacrifice was never to get married. I thought yours would be something similar. I had no idea it would involve your family. I swear, I would never have brought you here if I knew. But our words offer no comfort." Ada felt betrayed and trapped. As they left the mansion, Ada was silent, her mind spinning with fear and regret. Throughout the ride back to Chinonso's house, she sat quietly, tears rolling down her cheeks. Her thoughts were consumed by her family's suffering and the impossible situation she now found herself in. Chinonso tried to console her. "Ada," she said softly, "at least you are rich now. Forget about your family and start a new life. They have never appreciated you, and they don't deserve your help." Ada glared at her through her tears. "You don't understand," she said bitterly. "I didn't want money for myself. I wanted it for them. How can I forget about my family? How can I let them suffer while I live in luxury?" Months passed, and Ada's life changed dramatically. Contracts and business deals came her way effortlessly. Wealth poured in from sources she couldn't explain. Strangers blessed her, offering her opportunity and connection she had never dreamed of. In no time, she became one of the richest women in the city. But her newfound wealth brought her no joy. Ada spent sleepless nights thinking about her family in the village. She imagined her mother struggling to put food on the table, her siblings going hungry, and their house falling apart. She would sit alone in her grand mansion, tears streaming down her face as she prayed. God, please forgive me, she whispered. Help my family. I didn't know what I was doing. Please save me. Please help me. Sometimes she resents Chinonso, blaming her for leading her into the court. But deep down, Ada knew she had made the choice out of desperation. She had wanted to help her family, but now her wealth had become a curse. Years went by, and Ada established herself as a businesswoman. People admire her for her intelligence and generosity. She donated money to charities and helped strangers, even people from her village, but she avoided her family at all costs. She couldn't bear the thought of rejecting them if they ever reached out to her. Despite her efforts to stay away, Ada couldn't stop thinking about her family. Sometimes she would secretly visit the village, hiding in the shadows as she watched them from afar. She saw her mother's frail body struggling to carry firewood, her siblings begging for food, and their once proud home crumbling to ruin. Each visit tore her heart apart. Ada lived with constant guilt and sorrow. She had everything she had ever dreamed of, yet she felt emptier than ever. Every night, she prayed for a miracle. God, please, she begged, show me a way out of this. Help my family. I would give up everything to see them happy again. But her prayers seems to fall on deaf ears. The price of her wealth was too high, and she was wrapped in a nightmare of her own making.